First up, approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
I'm sorry, was that you?
Okay, moving on to financial report.
September income statement reflected income of just shy of $78,000, predominantly delineated between return on investments of about just shy of 50 and interest on loans of just shy of 25,000. Our expenses remain pretty consistent month over month. Seen there at 20,500, there was a net profit for September of $57,413. Similar on an annual basis, our revenues for the year were $515,000 again, delineated by return on investments of $275,000 and $204,000 on interest and loans. Expenses year to date were $256,852, giving us profit for 8 months into the year of $258,860. Our balance sheet reflects our total assets of $10,500,000. Our loan balances are $5.6 million. Our investment accounts total $4.3 million, and then we've got a small cash position, just under $450,000. The only liabilities referenced on our balance sheet are the obligation to our lease, our space here. It's our only long-term liability, giving us equity of $10,232,000, and the balance sheet equates or balances at $10,506.
Then we move over for a loan report. So I didn't print out the past due loans for this month because the only one on it is 616 Lorraine. Again, we are down to $691. We will get this money. It's just taking a long time. But we are almost there.
Any recent contact with them?
I tried, and if you not gotten a hold of via phone or email. He also hasn't read the email because I'm trying to read receipts. So.
This is the only liability or obligation left for
For him, yes, yeah. And then as far as the loans committed go, the Globe should be closing by the end of this month. 242 Washington Street, we have absolutely no idea. Michelle is says she's gonna deep dive into that this week. It's something to do with the grant needing to be extended through ESD. The tree house is actually closing today. It's for the customer loan report.
That's going to affect our cash then, right?
We already paid, so we already
Oh,
paid
that
that
already
one.
out?
Yeah, so we
paid that in
actually,
September.
we paid it in September. It
Oh,
was
okay.
supposed to close
Because we
then.
had to pay the attorney, we thought it was gonna close soon, but.
Gotcha.
So then really the
Affected it.
Globe we can reserve ready in cash then?
Yep, so we have that, we'll do out of our own pocket. And then we also have a loan that should be getting paid off to us, and that's like 200, what is it? 200,000-ish, so we'll
So
have
that
more.
should cover the 242 Washington.
Is that whenever it closes?
And for the record, I should go back and correct, I was referencing August as I was reading those reports, and they're September financial reports.
Oh,
I kept saying August, and I should have said September, so.
Oh, I already did my minutes.
Oh, did you? Okay, good.
It says-
I just realized, I'm like, why was I saying August when there's September?
I already know what you were gonna say.
because September flew by, okay?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think we're still in September.
I didn't want to get to
It's almost
December so
Christmas.
quick.
I'm trying to slow down time, it's
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
I will say just for the record that this is probably the cleanest our customer loan report has looked in a very long time. So credit to you ladies for taking a mindful watch over these accounts. So
All right, is there a motion to accept these two reports?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
I
Okay, moving on to committee reports, loan review committee.
Who's it?
to me.
No, I think
No,
it's him.
Marshall.
Oh, it's Marshall, yes, you were right.
I don't want to steal this thunder.
Sorry.
So we had a meeting to discuss North Country Canine Inc. And they're buying a new building at Eastern Boulevard. I'd say we were pretty impressed by the applicant and recommended approval to the board. Their loan is $45,000, 6%, 20-year amortization.
Okay, is there a motion to proceed with this recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to finance committee.
Is that one me?
Yes, that one.
Well, didn't we discuss you were going to take this over?
Yeah, I can take it over. Get to that. So we did have a meeting to go over the budget for 2026. So you'll notice that the interest on loans is slightly increased from, I'm gonna actually take out my assumptions here. So those are actual numbers as far as the interest on loans. The interest on investments, we do a conservative 3.75%, which has proven to be very conservative. We have blown those numbers out of the water the last few years. The other income, if you notice, the reason it's a lot more than it was last year, and even the year prior, is because it's supposed to include the WLDC. And for some reason, the last few years, we've not included that, so that number's back in there for the other income. Payroll we kept is the same. All of that. The insurances, there was a slight increase. Office equipment, we kept the same. Our occupancy cost did decrease, and that is prorated for the actual, and includes our office cleaning as well. Professional fees, again, is prorated for our actual for this year. Membership dues, we did increase slightly. Our rent, just because in our, what did it increase, do you remember?
Wait a minute, is that right?
Yeah.
That's not right.
Wait on.
Oh, there's the rent.
I have to say that.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, but yeah.
Yes,
so
it would.
it increased 2%.
Just a tiny bit.
Our miscellaneous includes things such as our credit reports, UCC filings. Sponsorships, we did increase as well. We have been being asked for quite a bit more for sponsorships recently. And since we are doing so well financially, it's a good way for us to get back and also to get our name out there. Our investment fees, again, that is prorated. And then you'll notice our advertising and marketing, we have increased due to, we have significantly increased our marketing. We are still well below what most people budget for advertising and marketing. And then number 26 is my favorite, that we started discussing, and that is for our rent assistance grants. We've done these in the past. We did it with the BRI funds, we've done it out of our own pocket. But this would be a little bit different than what we did in the past. In the past, we've always focused on bringing new businesses downtown. This would be a focus on existing businesses. I don't know if anybody here has kept a pulse on what the rent is downtown, but in the past year or two, it's significantly increased. And it is becoming a concern for a lot of small businesses. So the idea of this program, it would be 5 grants. It would be they have to be in business for 5 years or more, and we would help them out. It would be for 6 months, up to $1,000 or 50%. These would be for-profit businesses, just like PRI, we'll pay it directly to the landlord, but it gives them my thought process is it's going to give those businesses time. It doesn't give them so much time where they start to rely on our money, but at the same time, it gives them a little breathing room to maybe focus that $1,000 in a different way, whether that's marketing, revamping their spaces. But $6,000 over 6 months does go a long way for these businesses. Any thoughts on it?
Just to be really kind of a, if I'm thinking of a retention tool for existing businesses that are in
Yes.
downtown market.
Because 5 years of business is like such a big deal. Once you hit that 5-year mark, most businesses don't make it that far. And it's great that we've always helped businesses coming in, but I think it's also great to celebrate, hey, you've made it to 5 years or more.
We see some recent vacancies in the downtown area.
Yeah.
You know, we lose some
I
small.
would think, if I've noticed any moving out, I feel like I haven't recently.
Because we know it's
Yeah,
too, even
Yeah.
our space still isn't, our old space still hasn't,
Right.
half of it.
yeah.
That doesn't help, this doesn't help that.
No, this will just help retain those. And if you go and talk to a lot of the business owners, a lot of the rent in some of the spaces have increased 30 to 45%. And we've seen that with loan applications we've had in the last year.
What do we hope to gain
To retain those,
by doing this?
retain our businesses that we've fought so hard to get down here, and we did so much to get businesses down here. But I can foresee from speaking to a few different businesses, we're gonna lose some in the next year or two.
Would it be businesses that we have a loan with, or any rule like
Some
that?
we've had, no, so the only thing is that if they do have a loan with us, they'd have to be in good standing.
Okay,
But no, there would be no, it doesn't have to be one of our businesses.
sure.
I know there's a couple, there's one on Court, this is on Court Street that has been talking about moving out because of the increase of rent. Some on the square that I've talked about. And I've also had businesses reaching out to me, asking if we had any type of rent assistance program. So that was something.
The goal of the original program was to bring new businesses downtown.
Yeah.
Diversify what we have downtown, increase foot traffic, that type of thing.
Allow people to establish like roots,
Yeah.
grow roots, and become established over a 3-year period.
I guess we'd have to think about the selection process because somebody, I don't want to exact name, but like an established restaurant that you know is not going anywhere applies to this and they.
So there would have to have, so my thought process is there would have to be a plan also of how the money is going to be used, whether it's revamping. And I would like there to be where it shows that they do have a financial need. I don't know how we would justify that part, but I do think that it can't be just to, as you said, to anybody. It has to be those that are kind of struggling.
I would think the lease would show, if you want to look at from a financial need, one, I guess we could look at their financial statement to show if they're in distress or not. Like a
Yeah.
2, I guess you could look at their lease and see if their lease has got a escalation clause that shows that their rents are going to increase 30, 40, 50%. That could potentially pose a hardship if you look forward, right? If they're thinking of a 30 or 40% increase in rents. I agree with you. I think you got to look at if it's a business that's been established for a long time and there's no real threat of that business really vacating the area. That would be a concern. Why would we incentivize that one? There really is no concern about vacancy there. I guess I would look at, I think there's some small little retail shops around here that, you know, could this be an inducement to help them develop a alternative line of revenue or business model to enhance their overall operations for long-term retention? And as I sit here, I can think of a few right now that probably are on the fault line of closing up or going. That might be a good way to help retain, and some of those would be on the main square corridor.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know that I guess the old space where the LDC was, yeah, you hate to see vacancy right on the main circle of the square, but yeah, I could think of a few that might have some concern going forward.
I would say off the top of my head, I do have 3 that they've spoken to me about the cost of rent and just the cash flow issues in general.
I think for me, the big thing is making sure that they do have some plan in place that, hey, if we were to help, again, I mean, I'm gonna be candid, but what do you give it? 5,000?
It'd be 6,000,
$6,000.
up to 6,000. But most of those rent costs would be the full amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of providing assistance to businesses specifically targeted to downtown. But I have a lot of questions about the details of how we would do it and why incentivize it through the rent. If you're going to create a grant program, perhaps you could create a capital grant program that if you're talking about specific investments that are going to be tied to this. Or, the thing with new businesses, you're helping them to become established, but an established business that is, I guess they'd have to make the argument that there's some significant new costs to what they're doing and what is their plan beyond the 6 months? Like how
That would
is
be big for me.
sustainable?
If we're gonna invest $6,000, is how do we quantify the sustainability of them, right? I don't want to just give it
Yeah.
6,000 and then just kick the
Well,
can.
it'd be a full application process, just like they did the DRI program. And it would have to go to a committee prior to it being, it's not like we're just giving it out. We'd have to have a process in place.
Refresh my memory, when we did the original rent assistance, wasn't there a commitment from the recipient to retain in that space?
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was 5.
So-
They had to have a 5-year lease.
yeah, so that's, I guess, what I'm thinking of here. If we're gonna help them, I wanna make sure there's some level of commitment that after this assistance goes away,
And it
there's
wouldn't have
still
to
an
be-
obligation for
Yeah,
them.
and it wouldn't have to be as long, because again, that was a 2-year program that we ran, this would be a 6-month program. So we wouldn't need the 5-year, but it would, in my opinion, need to at least be a 2-year commitment in
Okay.
total.
So I
But for
guess-
somebody that's already put 5 years of their blood, sweat, and tears into it, I don't see that it's going to be where
Well, what if you put
less.
40 years in your blood, sweat, and tears into something? So then does that mean you're not qualified?
Anybody, I mean, as long as it's 5
Anybody
years or
over
more.
5 years, I guess. So
I know, but
the trigger is you gotta be a 5-year-old business. or
I just
greater.
feel like it's hard to, I'm not understanding sort of the criteria, so that's where we'd have to work on it. I don't know, to me, I mean, I think I'm supportive of being helpful to businesses in downtown. It's sort of like everything that I do for my work too, but I feel like maybe, from my opinion, I'd be more comfortable if it weren't specifically defined yet as far as the budget goes, and we just consider it, and then we have a committee look at the possibilities of what this could look like.
I think that makes sense. Because I like what you're saying, but I'm also inclined to see us do something that does still encourage more businesses to locate downtown.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, I think in a committee conversation, we can think about scenarios. It's hard now to think about. I can think of potentially negative versions of this that I think would be a poor use of the money, or what if scenarios from my perspective. But I mean, the idea of including, I guess if it's, what, $30,000 for business assistance for downtown, and then establish a committee to
It's a small investment for this organization.
I'm 100% behind that.
What about if, like you say, more one-offs, like a business that you say they call and asking if there's a program like this. What if, okay, I'm 2 months back, I've got problems, I just can't get out, I can't get square on that $2,000 because everything else is going, I guess $6,000 sounds to me like a lot, when probably a lot of people, they're like 2 and 3 months behind. And we just sort of get them square, and then so they can move forward. I mean, again, I'm totally, it is a small amount and a good, solid program. And does it have to be rent? I mean, could it be, we say it's assistance, could it be something where like the front door doesn't lock? You know, or
loan forgiveness or
Or maybe
something that
some-
you're, you know,
When it comes
She's a loan forgiveness.
When it comes to
super
new
effective.
businesses, I like the idea for new businesses to do something with like a loan forgiveness on the back end of their loan, where you pay off so much, and maybe it's the last, I don't know, 6 months of your loan.
That's what we did with the
Okay,
COVID grant.
maybe that's where it's coming from. But like, I like the idea of that, but as far as the rent goes, I already feel that we do a lot for small businesses, trying to get them to open downtown. We already do lower interest loans. It's a little bit easier with our loan process than it is to go through a bank. So I already feel that we do so much for small businesses to become established. I just don't feel like we do anything really for them once they've been established. And that was the thought process of this is, hey, look, why aren't we ever doing anything for those that have been struggling, whether it's 5 years, 40 years, doesn't matter. Because again, as small business owners, it's up and down all the time. And if we are in a financial position to do something. And as I said, if even our budget, as far as what our income is very conservative, and it is way, I mean, historically, it's way more than that. I think we're like 200,000 over as of like this month for this year and what's budgeted. So,
Well, you, just the report today, that's
Yeah.
positive variance, 260,000. You know, I don't want to stress this out too far, but the more you're talking, the more I'm sitting here thinking, and I like your line of thought, but maybe it's just to get comfortable, there's going to be some amendment to the budget somewhere down the road, and then get a committee together to look, but geez, I'm even thinking, you know, collaborate with some of the other entities or even the foundation down here to see what could we do. I mean, this is a good investment, but you know, I'm all candor in today's world. But I'm thinking, just look at the recent experience we had here, how this was built out with what I'll call mini space, and they filled it out pretty good. And you start to think about like your old space over there, and you know, if one or two vacates on the square, how do you replace that with a new business today to occupy, you know, 2,000, 1,800 square feet, where maybe you need, you know, a 800 or 1,000 square foot unit. And maybe some of these proceeds could be used with a property owner to, you know, revision that space so that they can attract more occupancy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, is like, it's, you know, helping it's just, I can't fully envision the full program just as a rent forgiveness.
Yeah.
For if you happen to be 5 years in, then it's like, oh, but there's this filter or this filter on top of it. And then it's like, well, what are those filters? Like, those are really important pieces, because if it's just, you've been in business for 5 years, the first 5 people who apply receive it,
Stuff.
that I don't know if I'm really for that completely, but if it's,
so that's the point
It's
of the
tied to some-
committee. That's the point of the committee to get together and go through what we would want as a criteria. And just like we did with the DRA program, we got together, it was we had a binder full of what.
right. Well, then maybe we're saying the same thing, because that's what I think too, is a committee makes sense. I just think
100%.
by calling it a rent forgiveness program, it's already limiting, or maybe the committee can define what that exactly could be for.
And we could have it just as like, in the budget, as a grant
A grant
dollars.
program.
And
Yeah,
then
grant
something
program, yeah, I
that-
think
That's what I was
I think the titling may be thrown, but I think the understanding of what we're trying to accomplish.
Business, downtown business support grant
Yeah.
program, and then we can figure out, maybe it is that, but it's just,
Well, or that could be, if you do have somebody that approaches you that needs rent assistance, truly needs, you guys divert some
right.
appropriation
Maybe
there.
there's even more flexibility
Right.
in like, what rent assistance alone would provide, that, but we define what the criteria are to qualify.
Yeah, and as I do like the idea also of something maybe
The
at the
loan,
back end
yeah.
of loans where we are forgiving,
Yeah.
so many payments or something like that.
Yeah, I like that too, actually. You know, and I wouldn't say we're not doing anything for existing businesses. The 68 loans or more that we have here are very much helping businesses. That's like, I feel like what we're doing on a daily basis. But I hear you when you say like, maybe we can do more. How can we reduce the burden? So I'm supportive of that, and maybe just change the language so that's a little less.
So we'll just have it
Specific.
as, we'll just have it under, like, for grants
Yeah.
right now. And then we can worry about the title
Yeah.
later.
And I'd like to be on that committee too.
Okay.
And you might even consider the size of the investment you allocate for that. I mean, frankly, you're talking,
Yeah.
at the pace we're going, we want to be 10% of the variance of,
Right.
whatever the current operation is.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, I wasn't on the budget committee, but like $100,000 might be more.
Yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, I think, it's a small commitment from us. But I do like the fact though about maybe collaborating with some of the other key stakeholders in the downtown market to say,
Yeah.
hey, is there a level of commitment they can put up? Because it's, there's probably likely some changes as we move forward based on various things that are happening on a macro regional level. We want to be nimble enough to accommodate scenarios that may come across us that we haven't thought of yet today.
So what I'm taking from that is that there's gonna be a change to this budget, because I have to put it in New York State, so, to just say grant.
Yeah, so let's have it under
Yeah.
grants for now
Yeah.
instead of the.
Grant assistance, I would call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're making that change, and then I would say, anybody who's interested in being part of that committee, let Kylie know, and we'll get rolling on that at some point.
I'm interested.
Okay.
Another question on the budget, under the payroll line, it says payroll is based on admin, CFO, and CEO. Are we planning on?
That's the same language that we had used last year, depending, we are starting to get to that point where we're getting to the point where we may need somebody as far as a part-time admin. Just our loan portfolio loan, we're at like what, 60, 68. So if we continue to grow the way we are, that is just something we'll have to start looking at. However, like right now, we are waiting, this month we'll have our intern starting, which is no cost to us. And maybe that will be the route that we go, but we did put in the budget the past 2 years, just so we had it in case we did decide we needed to hire a part-time person.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
No plans for that, so.
I'd rather avoid it. Because we also don't really have the space in our office for it, but as I said, if we continue to grow at this rate, we're getting to that point.
Only one comment I would make about payroll is the subsequent handful of line items below it is 25 numbers, 26 budgeted numbers near the 25 numbers. I gotta think there's gonna be some level of increase
Yeah.
as we go forward, so I just would be,
How close to the 200,000, I mean, is it like 199.9 or?
So we are right now?
Yeah,
Oh,
because I know you budget for 200.
no.
well, your year-to-date through September at 162. You just take your average of 13 at your pace, and you're gonna hit pretty much 200% salary. Or is that, I'm trying to, now, does that salary, does
That includes the.
all the
taxes.
fringes, oh, yeah. so-
Actual salary wise, we're at like what, 160? So we're not anywhere close to the 200,000.
Oh, no, because if you take, you gotta aggregate. So what you're telling me is this captures the next 4 or 5 line items? All the insurances?
Yes.
Start to. You're not gonna.
Yeah, so we're not gonna come close to.
I would just say going forward, you might wanna just look at those and maybe You're gonna see increases as you go forward. I
Right,
just
some
know
of
that.
them just changed, so they wouldn't be changing until, you know, like towards the end of the year too, so it's.
Yeah, 'cause as far as like health
And
insurance.
health insurance, you never know.
Yeah,
So most of these 2025 numbers are what was budgeted, not the
Not the actual.
correct.
projected actual.
Yeah, these are just that was the proposed budget that was approved for last year. And the only numbers that were changed were the health insurance, and that one there was a change. The pensions that didn't change. And that was based off of the actual 200,000 salary, not in the actual.
So it is a little beefed up.
Life insurance on it, that went up. Vision insurance, or vision stayed the same, dental did, but that's because it changes halfway through the year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just if you're looking at kind of a macro basis, your total expenses, you're 25 were budgeted for 400,000. You're not gonna have 400,000 this year. Based on your current trend of expenses and then the trend. So, yeah. I think this satisfies what you need for the state, right? I would just make a comment, as we did probably talked earlier on, going forward, you might want to think about some kind of a budget monthly where you prepare actual versus a budgeted piece for your
Yeah.
monthly reporting.
And we actually were
And
in
then
the
you can plan
process,
better going forward.
we're in the process of changing the way the budget looks, so that way, because as of right now, it doesn't match up with like the way the
European.
QuickBooks is set up. So we are in the process of changing this, so it matches.
We didn't want to do that mid.
But yeah, we wanted to get this done and then make the change, because then there's too many things to have everyone look at, so.
Do you need an approval for
Yes.
this? I'll make a motion.
Second? Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay, new business?
So it's not necessarily new business, it's a loan that definitely predates Joy and I.
And Peter.
And Peter. So I got an email from Reg. This is for the Franklin building that was done back, I was joking yesterday, when I graduated high school. So it is a long time ago. But the Franklin Square Developers Project is reaching its end of its 15-year LIHTC compliance at the end of 2025, and the investor in the project wants to exit the partnership. So they need our permission in order to do that. And neighbors of Watertown will take over that position. We took the entire file over, because again, it's a huge file. I took it to Peter yesterday and we're going over it. He's going to look more into it to see, because with this project also it ends at 2027 where everything is supposed to come due.
We're supposed to get paid then, right?
Yes, so I gave it to him because again, it's a huge file. But the first step of what Neighbors is asking is if they can transfer ownership to themselves. When I was looking through it, I didn't even see anything where it said that NDC Corporate Equity Fund, did you? We were trying to find it, I didn't even see where that was mentioned.
The
Did any of
name,
it?
the name could have changed too.
Yes.
Who knows?
But again.
Buy now.
Well, but just so we're all familiar, but isn't it a pretty decent recovery we were supposed to get? Wasn't it?
So the CDBG grant part is 375, the other part is 748, and then there's a random like 30,000 in there. Yeah, it's a lot of
A
money.
lot of funds should be coming due in 27.
Yeah,
So if we modify this and allow neighbors to take it, we need to understand what the repayment
Looks
arrangement is
like.
going to be.
I agree. But I just.
Rich will have a plan.
Well, I mean, just food for thought, I mean, just,
Yeah.
you know, keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
That you would do roughly $1 million worth of liquidity that you may be extending back out And the terms on that are gonna be different than what you could have done with it today. Or in 27.
Yeah.
Because I think, if I recall right, these were lent at almost a zero interest return when we did this project.
And then it starts at a one, from my understanding, then it starts at a 1%
1%.
starting December 31st, 2027, or 2027.
Yeah, 27.
So the end of the 2025, I also, as I didn't see anything on the 2025 portion. As I said, it is a huge file, so we've been trying to.
Yeah, so we lent, that was, if everybody remembers, you called what that project was, correct? That was the redevelopment of Franklin Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't here at that time, but
Yeah.
So
And then it went over, from my understanding, it went over budget, so that's why there is a loan,
additional loan that various agencies pledged to.
and ours was almost like 750,000 from us. So yeah, and the reason it doesn't show up on here is because on our balance sheet, it shows as a positive and a negative. So Joy and I were also trying to figure out why it looks like that. We don't know, so we're trying to find all the information out. It's confusing. I've also been reaching out to neighbors in Watertown every year about this, and every time as of last I spoke with them, is there was no plan about the repayment.
is this like time sensitive or do we need,
He made it sound like it was time sensitive, but again,
I'd like to know a little bit more maybe before we.
Well, it's time sensitive because it looks like the original development agreement is coming up for its 15-year
it's 12/31.
period, which
Yeah.
is 12/31.
Today versus
So-
next meeting.
I mean, just to help it, and then I know Peter will give advice, but time sensitive is we could say no before 12/31. And we don't have to agree to it.
Yeah,
And then we have, but it'd be good that Peter could provide some feedback as to if you do extend it, what are we obligating the agency to at that point?
Do we know who NDC Corporate Equity Fund, DIA is?
No. I said this again, we were.
That's right, Peter was busy with the whole closing for today, so it was like he was gonna look at it, but we don't know.
There's nothing wrong if you want, I would say, if you wanted to reach out to Don just to get some insight on.
So prior to this email, I have talked to Don many times, and I don't think our agency ever had a full grasp on it. Because every time I asked the questions, it was, I thought it was gonna be past his time by the time it came due. Because we've had this conversation, I've been reaching out to neighbors of Watertown about a repayment plan on this for a long time. And it's been every single year when I start looking at things again, I'm like, okay, when is this happening? And to grasp with full understanding. But maybe at this portion of it, maybe Don will have a better understanding on it. But I'll bug him.
I guess I would say,
But I have no
what do we need to know? Is Reg looking for some response? Is that what you're?
Yeah, but I have no problem saying we need more information before we can proceed.
I would communicate that, I guess, at this point.
Because at this point, this whole thing, I just am not the most comfortable with.
Well, it didn't give us a lot of time either, so, just last week.
Well, it was Thursday, and then I was off, we were off Friday, and then, I was off Friday, closed Monday, so there hasn't been much communication about it as far as more information. Besides us trying to deep dive ourselves.
Okay, so I think we communicate to him that we need
More information.
on this
Yeah.
information. Okay, any other new business?
Just one piece I would add, while I'm thinking of that, Steve jogged it, something when he was talking. We have 65 or so loans active on the loan report, and with the exception of one, they're all performing well. The one that's kind of past due is very minimal. I think somehow if we can create a message to the community about the level of support we've had and how it's performing, I know if somebody was to go bad on that, we'd get frontline press on it pretty quick. So I think there's something to be said about having an almost $6 million loan portfolio that is performing at standard.
I see we get one more payment out of that guy and then foreclose on him.
It costs us more money.
We're gonna send everybody a message. I'm totally kidding.
But, I think in all the years I've been on the board, this has got to be one of the most ideal loan reports that we've seen. And we were concerned, think about, we come through COVID. Think about where we've been with this portfolio, and the integrity in it is pretty strong.
And I think the one thing that's really helped us is those that we kept having reoccurring issues, we've switched them to ACH so that it eliminates that issue,
Yeah.
which I think has been a huge
Huge,
part
and
of why.
I think going forward, that should be a requirement for loans. And I think if you look at the demographic of people that we've engaged with, these particularly, I'd say a fair percentage wouldn't be able to be financed by traditional lenders. And we always were concerned about the integrity. I think we've got a great story to tell right here in downtown Watertown. So I would say let's try not to miss the opportunity there.
I totally agree.
Agree with you. So do we do press release? Someone have
Something
to
like
write
that, yeah. I mean, whatever it is, I'm not a press person, but I put
I
somebody.
mean, if you want help and you want to put together some bullet points, I'd be happy to help you. Or
Yeah.
I know that you're adept at that, so whatever.
No, press releases is not something I've ever done, so any help is appreciated.
ChatGPT.
Give them 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Okay, good point, Mike, thanks. Any other new business? Okay, we'll move on to CEO report. Anything you want to highlight, Kylie?
Nope, I mean, this past month, I did get to go to, my daughter talks about what I do all the time, so her teacher, they're learning about communities, so our teacher reached out for me to come in and talk to them about like what the WLDC does and what community means, and it was super cute, and you can see in the little picture, they did a project where they created like a community, it has like a bakery, a hospital, a fire station, but it was adorable. They also had the ribbon cutting for the globe. We went to business after hours. We've also started where we're trying to not only talk to our own businesses, but then going and talking to people that didn't know we existed. And that was the Italian Cosmetics and Beauty that's up at top of the square. The other one was Pride and Glory Tattoo, and he's been there since like, I think 2000. He's been in business since 2011 in downtown, and he had no idea what the WLDC was. So, yeah.
And he's right there.
And he's
right there.
Yeah, right there. So Greg and Stickle were going in there, and I just tagged along and just, I'll talk about what we do. So, because we're trying to reach out to the community and letting them know that, we are here as a resource, but also as far as social media or any type of marketing thing, we're also here to help with. So, and our intern should start soon. She's just waiting for the last piece of paperwork to be signed by her chain of command. Oh, and the Arrive Downtown website, we are in the process of revamping, and that's a lot of work, but we're getting there. Great. I think that's it.
Okay, any questions for Kylie? Okay, old business?
I think so.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.